Coming up on Sports Paws, the men's ice hockey team looks to continue their winning streak against the Huskies of UConn, as well as continue to climb up the national rankings. Also, the women's basketball team looks to improve upon an already impressive season against the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights. All of that and more tonight on Sports Paws.
It is freezing outside, but the QU sports teams are starting off the new semester red hot.
That's right. Good evening and welcome to Sports Paws. I'm Jordan Siegler.
And I'm Zach Russo.
It was an action-packed week up at the TD Bank Sports Center with the number 2 men's ice hockey and conference-leading women's basketball teams leading the way.
And we have several analysts to break down all the action, including a brand new segment.
And later on in the program, we'll be visited in studio by a member of the women's lacrosse team to tell us about the team's work off the field, and we'll get an inside look at the Bobcats' most dedicated fans.
But first, we got to talk a little men's hockey. Now, in case you haven't been paying attention, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey program is number 2 in the nation. They're 15-0-2 in their last 17 games and 11-0-1 in the conference. Their last loss came on November 6th, and they tallied a 5-0-1 record during the winter break. The Bobcats were back on the ice this past Tuesday versus the UConn Huskies in the first home game of the semester in front of a sold-out crowd. Let's see how they did. In the first period now, the men's hockey team hosting the UConn Huskies, trying to stay unbeaten in 17 straight. This was a night of the goaltenders, but early on, Matt Grogan makes a nice save on Connor Jones. Eric Hartzell, he's not a bad goalie himself. He makes a nice save on a breaking away. Cody Shareed also had 21 saves on the night. Grogan had 48. Now, Bobcats late in the first period, Matthew Pekka with a nice snipe one-timer. QU gets a 1-0 lead. Assist to Harvey and Langlois, and in the second period, QU tries to get another goal, but Matt Grogan was hot. There's a turnaround stop from Connor Jones, and then another one, nice save in front of the net there. Like I said, Grogan had 41 saves. But UConn finally responds. That's Billy Latta on a breakaway goal. The game is tied at 1. Hartzell knows he gave up a tough one there, but he's going to get one back because later on, it's late in the third, and UConn Sean Ambrosi is called for hooking right there. He's sent to the box. That's late in the third, and QU capitalizes on the advantage. After a couple shots by Langlois and Pekka, turned away by Grogan, there's Connor Jones netting the goal, puts the Bobcats up 2-0, and then Eric Hartzell, stonewalling net, clinches the win for the Bobcats. They're now 18-3-3 on the year. Here's Rand Pecknold with more.
We were really good tonight, and Grogan was outstanding. You know, he was the best player on the ice, and 50 shots on net. It took us a while to get the second, but I was very happy with how we played.
The goal of the night was to go into the third period with a tie game or the lead would be great too, and give ourselves a chance. 20 minutes, and we were right there, and they finished on their chances, and we couldn't finish on ours.
We could have been up 2-1. They could have been up 2-1 after the first with a couple breakaways there, but it's nice to just keep it rolling and stay confident, and it's just nice to get one in the back of the net for sure.
For more on the Bobcats' 2-1 victory, let's go to our own Zach Daly at High Point Solutions Arena.
A day after finding out that they're the number 2 team in the nation, the Quinnipiac Bobcats defeated their in-state rivals, the UConn Huskies, by a score of 2-1. Now, even though the Bobcats were the number 2 team in the nation going into the game, they really didn't play like it, struggling against a UConn team that they should have beat handily. Bobcats' problems came in their offensive zone. They were trying to be really fancy with their passes, getting in front of the net for a quick little shot from one of the Jones boys or Matthew Pekka. Now, Matthew Pekka did score the first goal of the game for the Bobcats, winding up a slap shot from inside the crease and able to bury it into the back of the cage. That's where the Bobcats have been successful in this streak, winding up taking hard shots, getting a couple of deflections in front of the net on this streak. Mike Dalhughes and Jordan Samuels-Thomas, guys like that, they can do that really well. The Bobcats, they got away from it yesterday, and they really got to get back to that if they want to continue this unbeaten streak, which is at 17 right now, the longest in the nation. Now, the Bobcats have a big weekend coming up in the beginning of February when they travel to ECAC rivals Brown, and obviously that big game down over in New Haven against right now the number 8 ranked Yale Bulldogs. If the Bobcats are going to want to be successful, they're going to have to rely on their goalie Eric Hartzell like they have been doing this entire streak, as well as their offense, because this is a Yale Bulldogs team that can put pucks in the back of the net. You know Eric Hartzell's going to get tested in that game, so he's going to have to do what he's been doing all streak, stopping pucks and showing why he's the Hobie Baker nominee. Thanks, guys. Back to you.
Every year, the NCAA honors the best hockey player in the country with the Hobie Baker Award. Named after the former Princeton University star, the award has a long list of talented winners. The list will soon have a new name, and it could be Bobcats goalie Eric Hartzell. Hartzell has been stellar this year for Quinnipiac. He has an 18-2-3 record this season with a goals against average of 1.46 that ranks second in the nation. Go to www.hobiebakeraward.com to vote. When we return on Sports Paws, we will take a look at the Quinnipiac women's basketball team as they continue their exciting season and bring you a brand new segment called By the Numbers. Zach will also sit down with Vicky Kuhn from the women's lacrosse team to discuss the team's recent visit to the Helen Street School. We'll be right back.
Hey, welcome back to Sports Paws. I'm sitting here with women's lacrosse midfielder Vicky Kuhn. We're going to talk a little about the things that she and her team have done in the community as of late. Now, Vicky, recently you and your team have made a trip to the Helen Street School in Hamden. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's been great. I mean, every time we get to go, they all get so excited, so that was so great to see them so excited. And this time we actually got to work with them in the classroom, and we got to read to them and did an art project with them, and they just had such a blast, and they always enjoy our company whenever we're there, so it's been great.
Now, this wasn't your first trip that you've made to the school. What other work have you been able to do there?
Probably my favorite trip there. We got all the coaches together. They gathered up extra equipment that none of the teams needed, and we got to donate them to the school so they could use that at recess whenever they wanted. Pennies, basketballs, footballs, like anything that they would want to use at recess, and that was probably my favorite. But we've also gone for Connecticut state testing. We were helping them practice for that, and that was great too, just to see them in the classroom and just be able to help them out, and because it's not really a very well-off school, so it's been great to go.
And this has all been a part of Quinnipiac's Positive Play initiative. Have there been any other ways that you and your teammates have been able to help out the community?
Definitely. We actually last year went to a school in New Haven, and we were able to get them outside playing lacrosse, like learning the rules, showing them our equipment, and it's really just such an amazing experience because some kids have never even heard of it. So it's just a great experience for us as athletes to share our sport, and we obviously have a great time with the kids. So.
What do these community events do for your team on the field?
I think it gives us a chance to really appreciate the opportunity that we've been given just to go to school, never mind play lacrosse. We all really just have been so lucky to have these opportunities. So I think it brings us together, and it really gives us a reason to play.
Now, has Positive Play had any specific impact or importance on you specifically?
I think it's definitely helped me to realize just how lucky we are to go to this school. Quinnipiac is such a great school with such a great academic and athletic program. So it's just really helped me to realize how lucky I am, and I've just had a great time helping out the community, especially when they really need it. So it's definitely impacted me.
You think you'll be out there again?
Absolutely, as soon as we can.
All right, that's great. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Jordan, back to you.
If there is one word to describe the women's basketball team this season, it would be incredible. The team is 15-2 and have not lost a conference game yet. On Saturday, the Bobcats returned home riding a 7-game winning streak to take on the Knights of Fairleigh Dickinson University. Let's head up to the bank to see who came out on top. The 15-2 Quinnipiac Bobcats riding a 7-game winning streak heading into this one, huddling up before the game. We joined it early in the first half. It's going to be Boo Abshire to Cameron Warner. It's going to dish it to Jasmine Martin in the corner for the 3. A few plays later, it's going to be Maya Register to the low post to Tori Childs for the mid-range jumper. Then it's going to be Lisa Lee back to Ellen Cannon for the 3 off the glass. Then Quinnipiac would add to their lead with Boo Abshire passing to Felicia Barron, who's going to miss the 3, but Jasmine Martin with the rebound and the putback, 16-10 Quinnipiac. FDU would keep it close with Stephanie Isaacs to Amanda Andreas back to Isaacs for the 3. The Bobcats are only up by 3, but they would start to dominate in the second half as Felicia Barron down low to Cameron Warner, who puts it in the hoop. She had 15 points, 11 rebounds. Then QU would increase their lead as Felicia Barron is going to take it herself to the hoop with the layup. 10 points for Barron in the game. The Bobcats were too much for the Knights with the free throw icing the game. They win 66-39. Here's Coach Fabry after the game.
We didn't say much at halftime except that we were not playing with the intensity that we needed to with the ball pressure and pinning. We just seemed a little bit sluggish. It seemed like we had a little sea leg going in the first couple of minutes. We're having a good season, but by no means have we won anything. We want to cut the nets down, and that's really the motivation. You know, it's great to be 16-2, but we just got to keep. We know that we haven't won. This isn't where it ends for us. We want the big prize, and we're working towards that.
So with Saturday's win over Fairleigh Dickinson, the women's basketball team is now 16-2, which matches their best start in program history. But the Bobcats have played about half their season thus far during the winter break. And over that time, they lost their only 2 games of the season. However, they did win their final 6 and finish their academic vacation with a 7-2 record. They were undefeated in the conference, going 5-0 during the break against NEC foes, but the combined record of those opponents are 10-20. We're going to bring in our analysts now to do a little by the numbers segment for the women's basketball team. Nick, we're going to start with you. Give us a number to describe the women's basketball season thus far.
Well, I'm going to go with the number 60. This signifies the point total that the team reaches most. They have not reached it just once this season, and that was in their loss to an ACC powerhouse in Georgia Tech, where they scored 57. So not too shabby for this team. If they can continue to put up 60-plus points, they should be fine.
I'm going to go with the number 10. That is their rank in the mid-major poll, as well as how many games they've won by double-digit points. So I'm going with 10.
All right, now, Arthur, start this one off for us. Give us a number for Coach Fabry.
Coach Fabry, I have 88. That is the winning percentage of this team this year. Coach Fabry has done an absolutely fantastic job coaching these girls this year. So, and that's led to the 88 winning percentage.
And I'm going to have to go with the number 7. That is Coach Fabry's second time that they have gone 7-0 to start an NEC season. She's looking to break that barrier on Monday against Central Connecticut.
All right, how about a number to describe Brittany McQuain, Nick?
I'm going to have to go with number 11. That is her highest point per game total in her career thus far, and she's really looking real good to break it as the season goes on.
And I'm going to go with the number 9. McQuain's averaging 9 rebounds a game in conference play this year. It's been a huge reason why they're off to this great start in NEC play.
Now, what's a number to describe Felicia Barron's season? Arthur?
I have the number 4. Felicia Barron is 4th in the country. I said country in steals per game with 3.88.
And I'm going to go with 42. Her highest career field goal percentage, and she's really taking much better shots this year, really helping the Bobcats get to where they've been so far.
All right, last question for the both of you now. Give us a number that will be the key to Quinnipiac winning the conference. Artie, start with you.
14. 14 games that if they play within themselves, come March 17th at 7 p.m., they're going to be ready to start dancing.
And I'm going to have to agree with Artie on this one. 14 is the number to look for at this Bobcats team. They look like they can continue to win these last 14 games and take this team to its first ever NCAA tournament.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
The women's ice hockey team opened up the new year with 5 games in the month of January. The first was a 4-1 exhibition win against McGill. The rest of the month was a 4-game road trip for the Bobcats that began with losses at Dartmouth and at Harvard. Following those losses, the Bobcats went down to Robert Morris and swept a 2-game series against the Colonials by a score of 2-1 and 3-2. The team is now 5th in their conference with an 8-5-1 record. The team's next game will be at home against Brown on Friday night.
Women's indoor track and field team has performed outstanding so far this year. There have been only 5 official meets, but Quinnipiac has already broken 13 school records, and all of them have been in different events. And if that weren't impressive enough, freshman Shamil Samuels broke the school record in the 400-meter twice already this year, while Aaliyah Simons has become the second woman in QU history to run the 60-meter in less than 8 seconds. The team's next meet is Saturday, February 2nd at Dartmouth University. Coming up, men's basketball had 2 must-win games against conference opponents. And also, men's tennis began the new year against rival Yale. And Q30's Gary Gorecki gives us a look behind the scenes at the fans that fill the Quinnipiac University student section. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. Men's basketball taking on CCSU up at the Bank Thursday with legendary UConn head coach Jim Calhoun in attendance. Early in the first half, it's Evan Conti to Jamie Jackson down low for the team's first points. Then it's going to be Conti again to Jackson. Jackson had the team's first 4 points of the game, and he also did a little bit defensively here, blocking Matt Hunter's shot. The Bobcats, though, had no answer for CCSU's Kyle Vanales, who hits the jumper there. He had 19 of his 32 points in the first half. Matt Hunter's going to steal the ball from Usman Drame here, and he's going to dish it to Vanales, who's going to step up for the jumper. The teams went back and forth for most of the first half, but QU was led by Shaq Shannon, who hits his first three of the night there on the feed from Kendrick Ray to give Quinnipiac a 3-point lead. Then it's going to be Shannon again from Ray. The team had a 1-point lead heading into halftime. The second half was all QU as Zaid Hurst hits the three there. The very next possession, Shaq Shannon brings it up. He's going to pull up for the three, his fourth of the game. Then the next QU possession, it's going to be Dave Johnson into the corner for Shannon to cap off a 9-2 run and give the Bobcats a 6-point lead. Then it's going to be down to Azatam for the ferocious dunk. Then to ice the game, it's going to be Shaq Shannon from a feed off of Dave Johnson for his 6th three of the game. QU would win 85-78.
Shaquille Shannon was just huge for us. For a while, we were a defensive and rebounding team that played awful offense. In the last 3 weeks, I think we've turned into a much improved offensive team that has lost its way a little bit defensively. So it'd be great to have a really good practice tomorrow and try to come out Saturday at noon against Fairleigh Dickinson and get another win.
Men's basketball team hit the court again on Saturday following Thursday's win over CCSU. This time they were facing the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights. With a win against FDU, they would have their longest winning streak this season at 2 games. Let's go to Lender Court for the highlights. Quinnipiac huddling, going over the game plan to hit the Knights, but here's Sidney Sanders. Knights struck first. He made the cross-court pass to Melquan Bowling, who knocks in the long 2. But the Bobcats come right back. Evan Conti makes a pass to Ike Azatam, drives down the lane and hits for 2 of his team-high 14. And Quinnipiac has the ball again. Shaq Shannon's eventually going to get the ball on the right wing and nail a 3 with a hand in his face. Bobcats had a slim lead for most of the first half. Here come the Knights, though, trying to climb back in it. Jules gets it from Bowling back to Jules, drives past Jamie Jackson for a layup. Jackson would have his revenge later in the game, though. In the second half, Matthias Seeland for Fairleigh Dickinson is going to get the ball. There's a 3 right there. That would tie the game, but the Bobcats would have the lead later in the game, and Jamie Jackson with the swat to maintain the lead. Evan Conti would get the ball and hit 1 out of 2 free throws. Then the final prayer for the Knights right there does not get answered. Bobcats hang on to a 2-point victory. Tom Moore after the game talks about Jamie's block.
You got to be a hungry defender to make that block, and I'm going to push him for Defensive Player of the Year, Jamie, at the end of the year, and I'm going to advocate and really push for him to get that. I don't know if people judge steals, blocks, all that type of stuff. I just know he can guard in the post, he can guard on the perimeter, he can help defend, and he plays at a feverish pace defensively.
With the 58-56 victory over the Knights of Fairleigh Dickinson, the Quinnipiac men's basketball team moved to 4-4 in the Northeast Conference. Ike Azatam continued his dominant numbers for the Bobcats, posting a double-double, 14 points and 10 rebounds. Shaq Shannon also continued to boost his numbers for the Bobcats, earning 12 points and 6 rebounds. The Bobcats will be beginning a 2-game road trip starting next Thursday when they travel to Mount St. Mary's. At the TD Bank Sports Center, Thomas Albanese, Sports Paws.
The Quinnipiac men's tennis team started off the new year with a match against Yale yesterday. This was their second dual matchup of the season, with the first being a 7-0 win against St. Francis, New York on October 13th. The Bobcats would fail to win a match on Saturday, falling to the Yale Bulldogs 7-0. The Bobcats will return to action next Saturday when they will take on Brown University and Binghamton University at Brown. At every Bobcats game up at the bank, there is one constant, one group that is always up there to show unwavering support for Quinnipiac Sports. If you've been to a game, you know who they are. It's the Quinnipiac Student Section.
The Student Section is located on the far end of both the Lender Court and High Point Solutions Arena, and is usually full of excited Bobcat fans. Q30's own Gary Gorecki takes us inside the Bobcat Den.
Let's go Bobcats! Let's go Bobcats! Let's go Bobcats!
School spirit is something that's been on the rise recently at Quinnipiac University. We took to several sporting events to help explain this increased amount of enthusiasm.
The atmosphere has kind of lacked a little bit in the past, but I think a lot of students here are starting to catch on a little bit more and starting to care a little bit more. You see, there's a lot of students here tonight, but there's not a lot of people cheering. And I think that comes with there not being a lot of tradition here at the university. And I think once students start coming more and start recognizing what's going on at the games, then maybe the tradition will start to come in a little bit and more of the students will be a little bit more vocal. But overall, I don't really have too many problems with it.
Yeah, I mean, when I got here, there was a good, a good starting point. There's always a group of people that are at every game in the front couple rows of basketball and hockey and every other sport, and there's always going to be that at every school. As time has gone on, like I said, there's been success over the last few years with a lot of teams, not just the hockey and basketball teams, and because of that, attendance has grown and the culture around the university athletics has grown, and it's been very good for the athletes and good for all the students that are involved. So it's been pretty solid. It's not just going to a game and cheering on hockey players or cheering on basketball players. It's cheering on your peers and your fellow students, and also just cheering for your university. So we all pay a lot of money to go here, and we all get a lot in return from the university. And one of the things that we can do to make our experience better is to come out and support our university and support the athletes. And I think that's why once people go to a game and see the atmosphere and feel that energy, they keep coming back. Because it's something that once you have it, you don't want to let it go.
Reporting from the TD Bank Sports Center, Gary Gorecki, Sports Paws.
Well, that's another week of Quinnipiac Sports and Sports Paws in the books, Jordan.
And what a way to kick off the new semester. Sports Paws will be back next week to do this all over again.
For more information on how to join Q30, check out our website at www.q30.org.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports. From all of us here at Sports Paws, I'm Jordan Siegler.
And I'm Zach Russo. Stay warm and have a good night.